One thing I love about Facebook is that it provides these memories where I can go back and I can see things that I said several years ago and be reminded of those. 7 years ago on this day, so back in 2015 on July 18th, there was quite a bit going on in academia and in just the culture at large about the Founding Fathers and how so many of them were not Christians. This is not a Christian nation, and we shouldn't think that there was any influence, any actual, real, meaningful influence having to do with the idea of Jesus Christ or religion in the forming of this country. And so I wrote this at that time as I had wrapped up research and a several year long journey towards finishing out graduate studies, and a good portion of that being focused on learning liberty and leadership. And so obviously the convalescence of those ideas, the coalescence of those ideas in the founding generation of America and some other points in history where we see great transitions of power happening. And with my study into the Founding Fathers, I was surprised because I'm one of these guys who had a real problem with calling America a Christian nation, which, when I thought about things that had been done in the name of America and therefore kind of in the name of Jesus Christ. And I was really surprised as I read the Founding Fathers in their own words, because they are not who my education, which was a private Christian, an elite academy education, the Founding Fathers were not who I thought they were. And so I wrote this back in 2015, thought I'd share it today because it's as true today as it was then. The old charge that America's Founding Fathers were not theists, but were deists, will rear its head again and again. While preparing for an emerging project, I found myself today reviewing Franklin's autobiography, the Vintage Books 1990 edition. Looking over page 84, I rediscovered this passage immediately following his quotation of Proverbs 3:16-17. And conceiving God to be the fountain of wisdom, I thought it right and necessary to solicit his assistance for obtaining it. To this end I formed the following little prayer, which was prefixed to my tables of examination for daily use. O powerful goodness, bountiful Father, merciful Guide, inspire in me that wisdom which discovers my truest interests. Strengthen my resolutions to perform what that wisdom dictates. Accept my kind offices to thy other children as the only return in my power for thy continual favors to me. So, if Franklin was the deist he's accused of being, why does he bother to make daily use of a prayer that asks God to act on his behalf? This makes perfect sense for the theist who believes God interferes with creation to the benefit of the faithful. However, it would be complete nonsense for a deist to pray for assistance. Granted, Franklin repeatedly abandoned and returned to this prayer and its associated table of examination through the years. Page 87 is even more problematic for those who want to promote that the founders were not religious people. But that's a conversation for another time. Embrace perfect liberty. I would encourage you, if you think that the Founding Fathers were not Christian or were not influenced by the historical person of Jesus Christ, if you think that there was no influence at all in the founding of the United States of America by the religion of Christianity, go read the Founding Fathers in their own words. You, like me, will be surprised over and over how very religious and how very influenced by Christ and how very eager to solicit God's help, not like a deist who thinks that God doesn't interfere in the affairs of man, that he just wound up the machine and turned it loose to let it do what it will, but like a theist who believes that God is actively involved on behalf of the faithful. It'll turn your world upside down if you think that the founders were not influenced by Christ or friendly towards the idea of Christianity. In fact, it infused their thinking to such a great degree that even one of the most highly contested members of the founding generation, Franklin, wrote this little prayer, and in all sincerity, believing it would be answered by not the God of a deist, but the God of a theist, repeated it over and over again. We have other examples. I'd love to get to them sometime if you're really interested in stuff like that. Let me know in the comments below. As always, the best comment left below, or question, or smart remark, will receive 100 Brazilian bonus points to use however you want to. Meantime, keep aiming for an education worthy of a free people, and then be that kind of person.